Hey, alright, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving, of course, my praise and fear to the Heavenly Father, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM, QADASH. I also get the honors of Apostle and Elders Great Millstone, who do well. There's your brother Kakam, member of the Great Millstone Atlanta camper, back again today with my video. And this one's going to be called, well, the inspiration for this is just, just meditating on the scriptures and how, the Lord said that He will provide for us during the time of famine. Okay, which we're living in a time of famine. Okay, as you can see, these food shortages are going on, and once again, as I always say as I go into these famine videos, is that once these grocery stores have all their food out, they only have a certain amount of back stock. And it's not what you people think, because working in a grocery store, okay, doing stocking, okay, you people, you might as well just go hit like your fucking warehouse close to you, man, because they probably got more food warehouse close to you, man, because they got a lot more food than what's in that grocery store. I promise you that, because that grocery store, it has nothing in it, nothing at all. Okay, it's very slim to nothing. You might get a couple weeks worth, but if you really want some sustainable food, you would want to go to a warehouse. I know that because I've worked in food warehouses. In fact, I worked in a food warehouse for many, many years. Okay, and yeah, they got a lot of food in there. Okay, but us being the hopeful elect, the Lord might have us run across, when I say that humbly, us being I'm the hopeful elect. Well, I am, a member. I'm hoping to be a part of the elect, Lord's will. Okay, I'm not saying I'm part of the elect. I'm part of the hopeful elect. I'm hoping I'm part of the elect. Anyways, the Lord said that what? His servant shall eat. Now, the first thing that popped in my mind as I read that was Elijah, okay, running, okay, from Jezebel, okay, and as he's running away from Jezebel, the Lord has it to where an angel intervened, which is already written in Daniel's 12th chapter that what Michael had to stand up, okay, which, we understand just talking about him defending us, but part of the Lord defending us, what the Lord is feeding us, man. Okay, the Lord feeding us, giving us food during that time, okay, because, well, a great famine is going to hit this land, man. A famine like you people have never seen. Okay, we're going to be counting, let me grab this, man. You're going to be counting the very hairs on your head and eating them one by one. Okay, it's going to get real gruesome out here, man. The Lord, promised us these things, and we're starting to see these things manifest here upon the planet Earth. While I was listening to Apostle Har yesterday morning, and what he said was very telling. He said, what? We're not talking about a couple of years anymore. We're not talking about 4 or 5 years. We're talking about in a matter of months, okay, this fucking place is about to go down. Okay, so we're in some very heavy times and some very serious times. Okay, and I'm just hoping and praying, okay, that, we make it out of it, Is Ezekiel 4:1, thou also, son of man, take thee a tile and lay it before thee and portray upon it a city, even Jerusalem, and lay a siege against it. Yeah, because what happened, okay, Jake always went off and the Lord always rose up an adversary to take down our enemies. Sorry, the Lord always rose up an adversary to take us down because why? We weren't doing the correct thing within the land. Now in the book of Ezekiel, okay, the Lord said what he's gonna raise up an enemy against us, and they're gonna put a besiegement, okay, upon Jerusalem. So that's what he's telling Ezekiel. He says, and lay siege against it, and build a fort against it, and cast a mount against it, set the camp also against it, and set battering rams against it round about. Moreover, thou shalt take an iron pan and set it for the wall of iron against thee and for the city, and set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged. Look at the word besieged. Is a matazawar, something hemming in a mound, besiegement, abstractly a siege, distress, fatness, besiege, bulwark, defense, fence, fortress, siege, stronghold, tower, siege, enclosure, siege, entrenchment, siege, work. Okay, basically entrenchment, so they basically have the walls that are surrounded, I guess you could say. Okay, it says, and thou shalt lay siege against it, and this shall be a sign to the house of Israel. And really, right now, the Lord said what that only thing that people will be seeing is what the sign of the prophet Jonah, which should be who? The men of the Lord out there on the highways and byways teaching and preaching. And that should be more than enough sign for Jake, okay? But Jake has to really see that physical ass whooping. Okay, and that's what you're starting to see now, okay, where Trump is talking about putting these troops, okay, within these inner cities and so on and so forth. That's all going to lead to a massive amount of famine, okay? Because whether you people want to believe it or not, okay, these Edomites know what the fuck is going on, and they're getting ready. Okay, Esau understands what his government's about to do. He's not stupid. He understands what Esau's about to, these upper luminaries starting to push this new world order agenda out. They at least might have kind of consulted them a little bit when it comes to the MAGA shit and things like that. But now they're even starting to snap up out there and say, oh man, god damn it, this nigga Trump's a goddamn lie. Okay, and now you have it to where they're talking about how Donald DJ is about to fucking hit the damn croak button, man. Okay, so things are looking quite crazy here in the United States of America, but it's not really looking crazy to us. Okay, we've been praying and hoping on these things. We've been praying for Egyptian against Egyptian. We've been praying for Edomite versus Edomite, Jake versus Edomite, Edomite versus Jake, Jake versus Elam, Elam versus Jake, and so on and so forth. Moab and all the rest of these heathens coming up against our people. Why? Because Jake obviously needs to get his fucking head bashed in. Anywho, let me grab this precept that I want. Here we go. This is this one. There we go. This is Ezekiel 4. This is the point I want. 10. Let's start 9. It says, take thou unto thee wheat and barley and beans, lentil, millet, and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof. According to the number of days thou shalt lie on thy side, 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And the prophet Ezekiel did these things, man. When the prophets they're told, to go out there and prophesy naked. Here it is. Ezekiel's about to eat. He was told to eat man's dung. He said, "Look, Lord, just give me the dove. Just give me the cow, man." Anyways, I ain't trying to eat no human shit. But you have to plead your cause to the heavenly Father. Let's say, no, Ezekiel, I'll do it for you, man. You're only righteous motherfucker out here. I'll do it for you. Well, there's remnants, but still. According to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side, 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight 20 shekels a day. From time to time thou shalt eat it. Okay. So, next jump to 11. It says, thou shalt drink also water by measure. By measure. So here someday, here some in the morning, a small teeny bit at night, so it can last you throughout the whole week. And this is what's going to happen to you Israelites, man. Okay, this famine. But the Lord said he's going to make us sufficient in these days, man. The Lord said he's going to provide for us, during these times of famine. Okay, which I precept on that, but let me finish this and I'll jump to that precept. It says, and thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time shalt thou eat it. Thou shalt also drink water by measure, the 6th part of an hin. From time to time thou shalt drink, which I believe a hin is a measurement as well. A vessel holding hin of liquid, a unit measure about 5 quarts. So 1/6 of 5 quarts. Okay. Which volume? Let me just go on the Chatterbox GPT and see what I can grab. What does a 1/6 of a hin look like of water spoken about in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter? In Ezekiel 4:11, the prophet is instructed to drink the 6th part of hin of water each day during a symbolic act of siege and suffering, also famine, right? It's coming to America. The measure represents extreme scarcity, exactly, a famine, and understanding what the 6th of a hin looks like can give insight into severity of his condition. A hin is an ancient Hebrew unit of liquid measurement. 1 hin equals 6 liters, or about 1.6 U.S. gallons. Okay, now you're supposed to be drinking, therefore, 1/6 of a hin equals 1 liter, or about 0.26 gallons, or 4.2 cups. Okay, and it's about the same liquid standard of 1 liter water bottle, or 4 standing measure cups, since 1 cup is 237 liters, less than half of a 2-liter bottle. So imagine you drinking less than half of a 2-liter bottle of soda for how many days? You see how it says, and thou shalt also drink the 6th part of a hin. From time to time shalt thou drink. So there's not even a set time. It says H6256, which where the Lord did tell him to be on his side for 329 days. So imagine having that much water and drinking from time to time for 300 and how many days? 390 days. That's more than a year. That's like a year and a month. Man, oh man. So in Ezekiel 4, the Most High, which name is YAHAWAH, tells Ezekiel to eat and drink limited rations to symbolize the famine and suffering that the people of Jerusalem will endure during the siege. So 1 liter of water per day is extremely minimal, highlighting drought conditions and divine judgment. And that's exactly what's about to hit America, aka Babylon the Great. Divine judgment. Where in 390 days, okay, you're going to be drinking less than a fucking half a 2-liter bottle of soda. That's the times that we're coming into. Thus saying that, okay, now I'm going to keep on going. Let's see. Can you bring out the... bring it out! Can you bring out the other measurements spoken about in Ezekiel 4, please? You got to be nice to the AI, man. All things to all. The AI is not a man, but it says absolutely Ezekiel 4 is very specific measure for food and water, all used as symbolic actions by the prophet Ezekiel to demonstrate the suffering of people of Jerusalem during its siege. Let's break down all the measurements in Ezekiel chapter 4, particularly verses 9 through 12. Yes, bring it out. It says it says 1, bread and food, 20 shekels a day. A shekel was a unit of weight in ancient Israel. So we're going to grab all the meat off the bone. So, bear with me, because I'm giving you an example of what's going to happen to these people, but what's going to happen to the elect, and we'll get into that. It says weight 1 shekel equals 11.4 grams, approximately 0.4 ounces. So 20 shekels equals 228 grams, or about 8 ounces of food a day. So let's see. So variant equivalent, that's about a weight of half a loaf of modern bread, or about 1 large sandwich worth of bread for 390 days. It says that he's going to eat it from time to time. But remember, you don't know how long this famine is going to last. Keep that in mind. Now, he's on the side eating the lentils, beans, millet, and finches, okay, out of the bread. But then the Lord tells him to have the meat there, okay, the measure, okay, eat it from time to time. So, hey, man, 390 days eating that, half a 2 liter of fucking soda, and also water, but, we say it like that. Let's put it in perspective wise. When people think of 2 liters, you don't think of fucking 2 liter worth of water bottles, especially fucking Babylonians. They think of a 2 liter bottle of soda. Which, I don't drink soda. That's kind of fucking gross, if you ask me. I'm a coffee man myself, but, soda's just disgusting. It says, water, of basically a whole sandwich worth of food for 390 days. 6 parts of him. Yeah, so let's go to 3. The mixture of grain and legumes. Verse 9. Ezekiel was to make bread from a mixture of wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and finches. Also spelt or rye, depending on translations. Okay, so rye. It says, this mixture was unusual even for the time. Normally, bread would be made just wheat or barley, making grain significantly poverty, desperation, and famine. Exactly, because people go crazy when they have... people lose it when they have nothing to lose. And these people will be eating anything and everything when shit hits the fan. From fucking pine cones to bricks of concrete to a bundle of fucking grass to those damn microplastic Esau be talking about that's stuck in everyone's body. Yeah, because why? They'd be cannibalism. See? It says, the mixture was unusual even for the time. Normally bread would be made of just wheat or barley. Mixing grains signified poverty, desperation, and famine, since only during times of scarcity would one combine whatever was available to make bread. Cooking method, dung for fuel. Which, we don't gotta go into that. But, so everything has a symbolic. The bread, extreme hunger, famine, rations, water, severe thirst, water scarcity, grains, poverty, lack of choice. It says that a human dung, defilement, and clean living. Yeah, that makes sense. Can you name other biblical, mostly where to go with this video, by the way, it might just be various topics, other biblical famines or famines that have happened in recent history? Absolutely, famines is a recurring theme throughout the Bible. First one, okay, famine in the time of Abraham. Abraham was famine in Canaan, yeah. Okay, famine in Isaac's time. Yep, we know about that. Famine in the time of Joseph, which I was listening to that this morning. In fact, a little funny how that came up. Where the sheaves, they bow their head to Joseph's sheaves in a dream. Okay, and then Joseph got put on in Egypt through Potiphar. Uh, he was put in jail, and then he did the dream for Pharaoh and so on and so forth. It says famine during Judges, Ruth. Yeah, okay. Famine in David's time. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Tribute to those and the Gibeonites. Well, not necessarily the Gibeonites, but it says famine in the time of Elijah, First Kings. Judgment because King Ahab and Queen Jezebel's idolatry. Famine. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay, and this is a good one. You can actually look this one up. It says a prophet named, this is actually history on this one, a prophet named Agabus, which is Acts 11 chapter. Yeah, no one ever wants to be Paul, no one wants to be Agabus. Foretells a great famine during the reign of Claudius Caesar, historically confirmed to happen in the 40 AD. Okay, so which actually says it per like Claudius and Agabus. Okay, so in modern day time, okay, the most modern famine that we see today, ongoing famines, would be Yemen, the blockade causing severe food insecurity, South Sudan conflict and flooding having devastated agriculture, civil war and blockades, Tigray in Ethiopia, Somalia, and the Horn of Africa, climate change, reduced droughts and instability. Okay, so let's see, North Korean famine, Ethiopian famine. So, a famine is a very common thing, okay, especially during a time of war as well, okay, because these food has to be rationed because a lot of this aid from the United States is going to, be over there for the troops. It's just still going to be getting worse over here in the United States as, America furthers its military escapade into World War III, where it will be later destroyed by thermonuclear destruction, which is biblical prophecy. Okay, but the Lord has a different plan for his elect. And let's grab what that is. Is Isaiah 65 verse 13. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahawah, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Yeah, the Lord said, well, these people are going to be hungry. Okay, but my servant shall eat. That word eat, it's a lock, a call, a call, okay. Okay. A call, it says, consume, to eat, literally or figuratively, which is going to be actually dine, eat, eater, eat up, feed, food freely, and wise, deed plenty. Okay, because these wise deeds we're actually be able to eat, is what serving the Heavenly Father. My servant shall drink, yeah, because my servant shall drink. Servant is a ibad, slave. Okay, are we not prisoners to Yahawashi? Okay, bondmen. Okay, but ye shall be thirsty, behold, my servant shall rejoice. But ye shall be ashamed, behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for the Lord Yahawah shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name. So the Lord said he's going to protect us, man. Okay, he's going to be there for us when all this famine and hunger and death and destruction going out and about. Okay, the Lord's going to give us this manna, man. Okay, he's going to have angels appear, men of the Lord appear with food, bunkers, and so on and so forth. Okay, and these people are out here eating each other, finally knowing what fucking human flesh tastes like. It's going to be a nasty work, but the Lord, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, he's going to be there for us. This is Job 5, verse 20. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At death and famine thou shalt laugh. Like famine is upon hunger, famine, painful hunger, as making to stoop with emptiness and pain, famine. Okay. Yeah, scripture say what is better to die by the sword than by hunger. to hunger, be hungry, hungrily desire to bend, to twist or to bend. Okay. So, a great famine is, the Lord said what we're going to be laughing at this thing, man. At destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. Yeah, we're not going to be looking like fucking a damn Ethiopian during the time of the fucking famine. No, man, the Lord's going to, we're not saying I'm going to be fucking, I'm not saying me, but Akim out there will be fucking fat. The Lord's will be a part of that number, but the Lord will sustain us with food. Okay, at destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. And especially because the Lord's not going to let no fucking 400-pound nigga woman walk into no fucking bunker where they have just reserves of food for, plenty of people, and then that fucking fat bitch is just down there being a fucking glutton until the goddamn missiles come. And the Lord's not going to do that, bro. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just saying it's highly unlikely the Lord would do that for, some random nigga woman. He can do it for who? His servants. Okay. This is the book of First Kings. Here's a little example. The book of First Kings 19 verse 4. It happened to Elijah. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat under a juniper tree. And he sat for himself, who sat Elijah. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, it is enough now, O Yahawah, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him. A messenger, representative, yeah, so it's actually angel. Okay, ambassador, angel, king, messenger, okay. It says messenger. It says then the angel touched him and said unto him, arise and eat. I'll call it. Yeah. It says and he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his feet, head. And a cruse of water. We have a cruse like a jar, okay, a jug, and then it's a cake baking on coals. Just talking about like a pita, kind of like a pita bread, like a roti, like a flatbread. And a cruse of water at his head, and he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Lord Yahawah came again the second time and touched him and said, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat for 40 days. So he didn't have to eat for another 40 days. The Lord's going to do stuff like that, man. And 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of the Most High. So Elisha ate once and had to eat for 40 days. And great things like this is about to happen unto us, Akim. Scripture say what? Death and famine thou shalt laugh. You're going to be laughing with a full stomach. I'm not going to say in death and famine thou shalt laugh, but you're going to be starving also. No. Okay, the Lord's going to provide for us, man. And that just takes faith, to believe. And it's going to be easier said than done, because during this time, man, you're going to solely rely upon the name of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, and be what an outcast from sight, but the Lord will show himself, all right, as he's doing now. But with that, I want to say Shalom, and call HALAL, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, and Lord's will is edifying, and Lord's will Akim enjoyed it. Shalom, shalom.